actually prevent the outbreak of conflict, rendering a nation truly secure, indeed even invincible. Let me close with one scientific concept of great importance. We know in quantum physics, we're familiar with the phenomenon of the Meissner effect. The Meissner effect is a quantum enhancement of the third law of thermodynamics. The Meissner effect, which we can see here, shows how in a superconductor the internal coherence of the constituent atoms results in an impenetrable quality whereby the superconductor cannot be penetrated or disrupted by any external disturbing influence. And as this chart shows on the right, where the superconductor is shown, the superconductor on the right spontaneously expels and repels an external magnetic field. On the left is a normal conductor with incoherent thermal behavior of the constituent atoms. In this incoherent behavior, there is no natural resistance or natural defense against external disruptive influences, and as we can see, an incoherent conductor is easily penetrated by and disrupted by an external magnetic field. This is a universal principle of nature, the principle of invincibility due to strength of internal coherence. When a society is scattered, chaotic, incoherent, it's very easy to disrupt that society, and those societies are always prey to disruption from external influences coming in or internal influences within the country. Great destruction and weakness exists in incoherence. When a society becomes profoundly integrated and strong, which is the result of promoting unity in national consciousness, radiating unity and peace and coherence through even one such coherence-creating group of peace-promoting experts, when that unity becomes lively in collective consciousness, the consciousness becomes spontaneously integrated and strong. And in that coherent state is naturally resists any disruption from inside or external influences. And really, in effect, becomes impervious, becomes secure and invincible within itself. Now, to understand that again in a more prosaic way, in a much more perhaps common sense lay language, when a country becomes peaceful within itself and radiates peace and strength and coherence and is a nourishing influence to all its neighbors, negative enemies just don't arise from those neighbors. Nobody will attack a source of strength and nourishment and coherence. So by radiating peace, friendliness, and unity from one's borders, enemies simply will not be born. We can, in a scientific way, prevent the very birth of an enemy. That is preventative defense. That's the Vedic principle of defense, actually. Heyam, dukam, anagatam, the expression from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. That means avert the danger that has not yet come. Avert the danger before it arises. This is the humane approach to defense, particularly today when offensive defense is failing. When today's offensive weaponry provides no effective defense against weapons of mass destruction in the hands of terrorists, against long-range push-button electronic missile technology, against terrorism in general, against which there's no conventional defense, and against which retaliation holds no preventative value. The only defense in today's age of extreme vulnerability is the preventative defense. And it's so humane and so cost-effective and so scientifically well established that you can actually prevent enemies from arising and even stop warfare in war-torn areas. And where is the research that warfare creates peace? Did World War I prevent World War II? Does any war prevent future wars? No. It leaves the seeds of enmity and dissent and a desire for retaliation, which, if built up unchecked, inevitably erupts as future violence, giving us the endless cycle of war after war that has been with us throughout recent history. We can break that cycle of war leading to war by targeting and diffusing that rising enmity that fuels violent conflict in a scientific way, just by establishing a peace-promoting group in our countries, which can be done even under the logic of better education. Let's give our students the cutting-edge knowledge of physics, and let's give them the cutting-edge knowledge and technologies for the proper balanced development of the brain, which are being used now in advanced countries to improve the results of education and to prevent the deleterious effects of stress, heart disease, stroke, hypertension, ADHD, and this epidemic of stress-related learning disorders that certainly plagues the United States and other so-called developed countries. All of this problems, this epidemic of the emerging generation, can be neutralized just by introducing these proven approaches to bringing balanced brain development and maximum health and creativity and intelligence to our students. So even the logic of educational excellence demands that we incorporate consciousness-based education into the classroom. And this we can all do because all of us have ties to education. Just bring the knowledge to our schools. And I'd be very happy, and many of our experts throughout the world would be extremely happy to collaborate with you in coming up with the ideal program for your country that could most easily and profoundly bring this influence of peace, security, even invincibility on a scientific basis to your countries. Finally, I'll mention that even an agricultural or business endeavor is an easy way to implement a peace-promoting group. Any large business, the employees can grow in health and reduce their absenteeism and improve their worker relationships and productivity, according to extensive research, by introducing the experience of consciousness, transcendental meditation into the work environment as a developmental tool and as a health benefit of the employees. It's that easy. Or an agricultural project. I'll just mention that the Global Union of Scientists for Peace has representatives in countries throughout the world that are developing remunerative, large-scale, organic agricultural production. For example, in Brazil, where Dr. Luis Alvarez, for example, Jose Luis Alvarez, is bringing into cultivation a huge tract of arable land to produce organic food to feed the world. There is a huge, exploding market for organic food. The food-importing countries of the world, Europe, America, are hungry for more organic food and can consume virtually whatever market, whatever produce we can generate. So in Brazil, for example, or in any country, we can, provided we have access to land, we can easily engage those untapped natural resources. And the population of those countries, in many countries, a quarter or more of the population lives in abject poverty, on less than $1 per day. We can dramatically elevate the quality of life and economic security and comfort and health of these workers, provide them immediately with healthy and comfortable housing, put them to work, engage them, and train them in a remunerative enterprise. We can organize for the overnight distribution via air of these fresh, healthy, organic products, take them to the markets of the world, and produce a revenue stream to elevate the quality of life of our countries. Any of us who are associated with poorer countries especially, and almost every poor country has unused agricultural land, which would be acceptable for this purpose. Bring the economic blessings and relieve the hardship of many people within our countries while generating profits and a revenue stream that will allow us to finance many schools that incorporate this knowledge and experience of total natural law, consciousness-based education, where the experience of the constitution of the universe is lively in the students and they rise to their full potential. So it's very easy to do this. And so the financial foundation for everything we want to do in our own countries comes through several sources. For one thing, through the International Office of the Global Union of Scientists for Peace, there are modest resources available for specific projects in your countries. Even better, of course, for larger financial support, we can initiate peaceful initiatives in our own countries, like educational projects, colleges and schools, which if they're run properly, are remunerative and profit-generating and self-sustaining. That's the way we can self-sustain a coherence-creating group of peace-promoting experts in our country, or large-scale Vedic organic agricultural projects to really bring abundant wealth and health to the people of your country and to the people of the world, while financing all of our peace-promoting activities in our country, really giving us a very powerful basis of financial support to really transform the world in a practical way. And we would be extremely happy to share information with you and among all of you about these very successful peace initiatives that are taking place already today in many countries, and with a little bit of effort and a little skill can be easily implemented anywhere to really overnight. It sounds amazing, but it is a scientific fact to say, overnight, the moment we train a group of peace-promoting experts in these powerful technologies of meditation, because there are many methods of meditation, but very few have the research to show that they really take the mind straight away to this experience of unbounded awareness without years and years of practice, but straight away. In the first meditations, expand human awareness to become unbounded and experience this total knowledge, the unified field within. It's that experience, not concentration, not contemplation, not visualization, just that unique experience, which is a fourth state of human consciousness, that engages and harnesses the unified field, creating these ripples that add together as tidal waves of unity and peace for our societies. With that training, which can begin at age 10, a child can easily master this technique because it is so natural and so naturally powerful. Overnight, virtually, we can create this influence of peace for the country while bringing maximum blessings and total brain development to the students themselves. So I'd like to conclude this first Congress of the Global Union of Scientists for Peace by reflecting that we have discussed today in some detail this vital phenomenon, this crucial discovery of preventative defense, which is an innovative, extensively scientifically proven approach to preventing war and social violence, even terrorism and crime. It neutralizes the enmity in a potential adversary so that enemies simply are not born. And this on a scientific, repeatable, demonstrable basis. We discussed briefly the theoretical foundations of these powerful developmental technologies of consciousness and technologies for social transformation on the basis of the cutting-edge knowledge of modern science, the discovery of the unified field at the foundation of the universe, this field of intelligence at the basis of mind and matter, and identifying that with the simplest, most expanded state of human consciousness, the ground state of human awareness, is the direct experience of this unified field. And on that basis, we talked about field theoretic mechanisms for the spreading of social coherence, a phenomenon, the prevention of war and promotion of peace through group meditation, that has been more rigorously established and extensively verified than any other phenomenon ever in the history of social science. This on the basis of 600 published scientific studies in the world's foremost scientific journals, conducted at over 200 independent universities and research institutes in 30 countries throughout the world. And we discussed very briefly the practical implementation of this new technology of peace, this new approach to national security and invincibility, including the funding of these projects, and the establishment of schools and colleges and universities of peace, including transforming an existing college into a peace factory simply by introducing the knowledge and experience of consciousness into the educational curriculum. And we've also talked briefly about model projects, including, for example, businesses and agricultural development projects to eliminate poverty from our countries while promoting peace and invincibility. We will be in close contact with you, and hopefully you with us, over these next days to discuss your potential role in any of these peace-promoting projects and to discuss with you the most viable strategies of implementation that are most practical for the circumstances of your country. I would like to thank you very much for assembling to your computers and telephones for this first cyber conference of the Global Union of Scientists for Peace, broadcast live from the Sheraton Moria Hotel in New Delhi via global internet broadcast. And I will again quickly edit and distribute to you a DVD with superior graphic resolution for all of you by mail, together with a transcript of this talk and relevant slides on DVD format for you to distribute as you wish to other leading scientists and lovers of peace in your countries, to policy members, to members of government, to experts in the field of education, to education ministry, to agricultural ministry, all those who are in a position at the snap of a finger to implement such a coherence-creating group to reduce crime markedly and to increase strength and security, affluence, creativity, quality of life, financial self-sufficiency, and profound peace within your countries. The research is comprehensive in the scope of the impact of strength and coherence and peace to society just through these fundamental experience of pure consciousness, the unified field, and enlivening that unity in the individual physiology and in the collective physiology of the entire country. All for less than the cost of a single modern fighter bomber, one could endow a university of peace forever. That contrasts the cost-effectiveness of preventative defense with this grossly expensive offensive means of defense that has held sway, that has been predominant for so many generations. Now is the time to render such offensive means of defense forever obsolete, put an end and neutralize such offensive weapons, including weapons of mass destruction, by putting an end to the legacy of war itself and preventing the very birth of enemies, expanding narrow-minded nationalism, which abounds everywhere, to become expanded comprehension and global citizenship, and really create a global unity, a global country of world peace, not to erase the beautiful differences of every individual culture, but to allow every culture of the world to blossom in its integrity, in richness, in individuality, but in the context of a unity, a fundamental unity that pervades the world. Again, I thank you very much for your participation. I look forward to working very closely with you and to getting you information that would give you the ammunition to share this really crucially important scientific knowledge to all the decision makers in your countries, using the considerable influence you each have in the scientific and academic and policy worlds of your countries to really quickly bless your countries with a proven approach to peace, national security, and invincibility. Again, thank you for your participation. Again, I'm John Hagelin, the International Director of the Global Union of Scientists for Peace, and also the President of the Global Union of Scientists for Peace for the United States. I look forward to being in touch with you, and thank you for your participation.